Hey, welcome back all. Mr. Fixie coming at you. Look, I'm going on an overview of my whole week. I had one strange week, one long week, one troubleshooting full week. So what happened was, I suggest to you with heaters, okay? Take October 15th or before it gets cold, test your heaters out. I had 3 heater calls this week, okay? No heat. And what happened was it was 70, then the temperature went down to 40, and it's in the 20s at night. So everybody all at once turns on their heat. Okay, so if you are a homeowner and you have a heater, you might want to check it out before you need the heat. So if it doesn't work and it needs some help, you can get it done before you need that heat. In this case, all 3 turn on the heat when they need the heat, and it's not there. So I get 2 or 3 no heat calls. So I'm going to go over each one and explain it to you. I wanted to do a video at each site, but I was so frustrated and all with all this troubleshooting and all, I just waited till the end. So I'm going to go through all these heaters and explain to you what I did to each one, and hopefully you can hang with me. Hopefully it's not like mud in your eye. So this is the first heater right here. I still have this one here. I'm free to come here anytime I want, but this is an Evcon made by Coleman. They use this a lot in mobile homes. RVs use Coleman heaters, smaller, and manufactured homes. Okay, so you may have one of these in your home. This is quite old, but furnace isn't made up of that much. I mean, usually you can get a lot of years out of a furnace. Okay, so with this furnace Evcon, there was no heat. Okay, so I have a thermostat that I try, that I switch out. I know the thermostat's good, so I tried that thermostat. It still didn't work. So what happened was, we were going over the heater, and inside this has an electronic ignition on the pilot. Okay, so it's not, pilot that you light. It lights with the ignition. We did go in and try to light the pilot. We thought maybe that was the reason why it wasn't kicking on. We lit the pilot with a lighter, okay, and what happened was the pilot was all over the place, okay, and it would stay lit, but it wasn't looking very good. So what we did was I had to take this whole piece out, and I observed the pilot where the flame comes out, okay, and also the thermocoupler. Now, if you have a furnace that the pilot isn't staying lit, it's 2 things. You're not keeping the pilot, button pushed down long enough when you light it, or you have a thermocoupler problem. This right here, see this thermocoupler? This is actually broke right there, if you could see it, okay? And this is the reason why we replaced it, because the pilot was like lit all over the place and it didn't look very good. So I took this whole thing apart and I put the new thermocoupler in there. Now, the thermocoupler isn't that hard to replace, but getting to the thermocoupler to replace it may be hard. Okay, as you can see, this whole, let me take my light here like a laser, okay? So this whole area right here I had to take off. It has your gas valve and everything on it. I took it apart, and as you can see, there's the new thermocoupler right there. Okay, so we replaced that. The pilot worked fine. Okay, so after that, like I said, the thermostat was good. So I tested it. Okay, if you're going to do troubleshooting on a heater, you have to have a multimeter. There's no way that you're going to be able to take care of it without that. So I tested everywhere. So I found out that there was no 24 volt in this whole unit. There's no 24 volt. The 24 volt, okay, it sends a signal to the relays and the capacitors to do their thing, either open or close or whatever. It signals it to go. So as you can see, the heater's running right now, so I have to talk a little louder. But anyway, there was no 24 volt. So I traced it back to the transformer. The transformer takes, here I got a transformer here. This is a transformer, okay? So it takes this is your one side, the 110's coming in. So you hook your 110 to it. It had 110 going to it, but it had no 24 volt coming out this side. So there was no 24 volt. This thing can't run without 24 volt. So I changed up the transformer and transformer right here. Okay, that's this thing right here. I changed that out, and after I changed that out, then the thing worked perfect. Because you're not supposed, I mean, you shouldn't have to light the pilot with a match, okay, or with a lighter. This electronics here is what lights your pilot. Okay, so after I switched the transformer, everything worked in sync and it worked perfectly. So that's what was wrong with this heater, the transformer. Now move on to the next one. 2 of the 3 was a Tempstar. The Tempstar, let me try and get you up here. Okay, the Tempstar just had no heat, but the fan was running all the time. So on the Tempstar, okay, they had this relay on there, okay, and as you can see, it has 2 dials up here, which controls when the fan turns on before and when the fan turns on, or how long the fan is going to run after the burner shuts down. Okay, because there's a fan that has to run to get all the heat out, so that heat doesn't stay in your unit and ruin it. So we automatically replace this fan relay. Okay, the fan ran like it should. Okay, almost like it should, but there was still no heat. So I also noticed that in this thing there was sporadic 24 volt. In other words, I had it some places and other places where it should be, it wasn't there. So I went over this unit and over this unit, and I'm trying to figure out, and let me tell you something. This is the thermostat that was on there. Does that look bad to you? Okay, it's got the batteries in, it's showing fine, it was hooked up. I never checked this thermostat because it was only like 2 years old, maybe 1 year, okay? So I never checked it. So I just overlooked that part. Don't overlook, go through the steps, okay? So I'm watching a video, and unfortunately I don't know which video it was. I usually try to keep track so I can send you over there, because that's a spot you can go. I forget which video it was, I'm sorry. But the video told me to take the red and white wire if you have no heat and just put them together at the thermostat. And if the heater turns on, then it's the thermostat naturally. So I didn't do that because, so 2 days into this thing, okay, I got nothing else. I'm like, what is it? I can't figure it out. I go back to the thermostat. Okay, don't do that. Go to the thermostat immediately, even if it's almost a new thermostat. Okay, so I took the red and the white wire. I tied them together, and guess what? The heater came on just like that. I mean, it came on perfectly. It ran perfectly. So I knew it was the thermostat, so I switched the thermostat out. I put a simple, I call it a simple stat. That's just the one with the dial. It's mechanical, and you just move it and it comes on and off, instead of having this programmable thermostat, which for a lot of people I don't like them because it's just too much, you know, it takes too much time to set them up and all, and there could be other things wrong with the T-stat. But with the simple stat, you just slide it over, heat comes on. So I put a simple stat in there, okay, turned it on, the thing worked perfectly. Okay, again, it was the electronic pilot and all. So, you know, I switched that out, and the thing worked perfect. It was a Tempstar. This was a Tempstar. Okay, on the Tempstar, I replaced the fan relay and I replaced the thermostat. Now we get back to the third one, which was a Bryant carrier, code 33. If you have a code 33 on a Bryant and a carrier, please do these two things before you call anybody. Make sure that your filter is clean, okay? Put a clean filter in. If you have a code 33, put a clean filter in. And then check. A lot of these registers are on the floor, so what happens is your kids or whoever, or you even forget, and you put something over top of one of the registers. A code 33 has to do with your fallout, your flame fallout, which we replaced that, and it still didn't work right. So on that unit, the evacuator fan was making noises because the thing would run, but it kept on throwing a code 33. We would unplug it for 20 to 30 seconds, plug it back in. It resets. It may run the code 12, which means it's going to run for 90 seconds. It's like a restart code. So the thing's restarting. So after it runs for 90 seconds, the 12 will go off, okay, the code, and then it'll not flash, it'll be on steady. So that means it's ready to go. So it'll run again. This Bryant would run again and throw the code 33. So I'm like, what the heck? It keeps throwing this code 33. And I checked I checked the filter and I changed that, but I never checked the registers. Okay? But in the meantime, this is an inducer fan. This is what it comes on in the first. So if your inducer fan is not coming on, okay, that was the problem with the Tempstar 2. The inducer fan wasn't coming on, so I knew there was a problem because your inducer fan has to come on first. This thing is the first to come on. It clears all the fumes and all out of your chamber where the burners are heating up. Okay, it clears everything out of there. Then your burners will come on, then your fan comes on. So this thing was making noises. So I thought maybe that was it. Maybe this wasn't throwing, getting the air out quick enough or something. So I changed this out. Okay, the evacuator fan. They call it several different things. I call it the evacuator fan because it evacuates all the gas out of the chamber. So what I forgot to check was the registers. And lo and behold, they had a big bag, a trash bag, those black trash bags, on top of the biggest register in the house. And this Bryant is kind of oversized for the house. Some people think, oh, put in an oversized furnace, that'll work better. But really, the BTUs have to be correct with your square footage to get the proper use out of your heater. Okay, so remember that. This was oversized, so it was even more important that the air be circulated properly because this thing happened to be backing up, okay? The circulator fan up here, now remember, this is the evacuator fan. This takes the air, okay, takes the fumes out of your chamber where it heats up, okay? It takes all the stuff out, all the fumes. For safety's sake. And then your evacuator fan, okay, I don't know if you can see it where I'm at here. The evacuator fan is up top here, okay? So excuse me, let me go back. The evacuator fan is this fan right here. That clears the gas out. The circulator fan is up here. I call it a squirrel cage, okay? The circulator fan is up top. That's what circulates all the heat through your house. Okay? So, what was happening on this Bryant was it was pushing the air, the circulator fan, but because this register was covered up, it was backing up into the system because the system's oversized as it is. So it was important that it clear the air of that heat. If that circulator fan can't get rid of that heat fast enough, okay, it would shut down, throw a code 33. So that's what was happening here. So the code 33 kept on coming up. We took that big bag off of the register, made sure there was a clean filter, and the thing ran fine. Okay? So I know I'm going over a lot in this video. You may have to rewind it and replay a couple of times. But I tried to be as thorough as I could and explain them all. Okay, I should have done a video at each house, but I was so stressed out from all this troubleshooting, it wasn't even on my mind to do a video. So I'm trying to catch up here. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. There's a lot of videos out on it, and most of the time I get a lot of my ideas from watching several videos, not just one, because it'll spark my brain to check other things. And remember the thermostat on this unit, that's what threw me off. It was almost new, so I did not check it. So when you're doing this with your furnace, make sure you follow all the steps in sync, and that'll lead you to the bottom line on how. So I got all 3 units working. It took me all week, but they are working. Everybody has heat, so everybody's happy, and I'm happy, and I'm less stressed out. So if you have any questions on the video, leave them in the